Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of the Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Welcome, ladies. I am so excited today to have with me a very special guest, Florence Andrews, who is a success and visibility coach. So Florence is one of our graduates from the Clique Academy, and she's doing wonderful things within the coaching industry. So I'm so excited, Florence, to have you here chatting with me today so I can, share with our audience a little bit more about you and what you're up to. So welcome.
Thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. So I would actually like to start just, obviously you've been through the Clique Academy, you've done our training, you've done the training through our program. And I always like to ask, what has been your favorite part of that experience?
Oh my gosh, so much. So the Clique Academy was quite early on in my journey, and I had already done some coach training. But it was quite, I don't know how else to explain it other than quite kind of men in grey suits and clipboards, kind of very traditional grow method like coaching. And it gave me a great foundation in many ways, but I was really, when I starting to work with practice clients from that experience, I realized that there was a big bit missing and a big part of the puzzle missing. And it was having the tools to be able to go deeper into people's limiting beliefs and really, essentially the goal setting side alone, all these people were coming to me with these goals, and there was a reason that they hadn't been able to follow through with them before. And I felt like kind of that purest traditional coaching didn't quite give me enough to be able to help them change who they were being in that on that fundamental level. And so that's when I can't remember how I found you. I think it was your free course, the Freedom Abundance.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, that looks amazing. And basically was just converted. And I think it was on my mind for a while before I jumped in. And I think it was just the array of tools it gave me to add to my toolbox, like just the NLP and the EFT. And I'm an absolute manifestation geek. So I loved the amount of different avenues it gave me to be able to grow through and explore. And I felt like I could really almost like, I ended up with this palette that I could then over time, even now still, like kind of build who I am as a coach, and in my own unique way, kind of take all these different wonderful tools in this process, and take that and help other people with it. And I think also just the community, it's such a supportive Facebook group. It's so encouraging. And there have been, times when I've used it more and times when life's got in the way and I've used it less, but it's just knowing that group of women are there that have each other's backs, and that sisterhood was another really kind of unexpected actually piece of the puzzle for me as well.
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because whenever I ask people that they've been through the program, it's always, the community is pretty much always something that they mention. And I think for me, it makes me so proud to see obviously the amazing things that our coaches are doing, but just how everyone sort of really is there for each other and steps in and supports each other is just phenomenal. So what's really interesting, so you were actually coaching before you joined the Clique Academy then. What was it about sort of becoming a coach that really appealed to you? Like, what was it that kind of fueled your decision?
Yeah, so I'd actually had coaching on my mind for years. It had been in the back of my mind, and essentially kind of my mindset journey started, I don't know, a good 12, 13 years ago, because I have like a long career as a West End actress. So that's what I've spent most of my life doing. But I had a long period where I really had this like internal tug of war between what I knew I was capable of and like really big fiery ambitions, and this other side of me that was just self-sabotage. And when it came to stepping up into the spotlight and when the big opportunities were there, I'd crumble, I'd play small. And so I got to a point in my acting career when I realized and had to kind of draw a line in the sand and realize, okay, I'm getting in my own way here. And if I really want to do what I know deep down I'm capable of, I need to get out of my own way and I need to go on a deeper journey. So that it was actually my acting journey that introduced me to the world of mindset. And I kind of went off. I saw, EFT, CBT, NLP, like hypnotherapists. I saw all the people. I started reading all the books. I, had that crazy moment that many of us have when we realize that we create our own reality, and kind of woke up to that and really went on a deep journey. And through that it was just incredible to see the evidence of the results, because I basically went from years as kind of the broke understudy and the person always covering the lead and feeling a bit jaded, to honestly within a matter of months I got my first 6-figure West End leading lady role. And I really, that just gave me more fuel and more evidence for the mindset work. So because of that, I then developed this real kind of side passion for manifestation and mindset and success mindset. And because of the books I was reading, I kind of got interested in entrepreneurship as well, and that whole world. But I was still busy as an actress. And it was really when COVID hit, I just taken a year out to have my second child, my little boy. And I was the main breadwinner. I've got my name on the mortgage. It's all kind of, I've always been the earner of the family. And I run through my savings to take my year off, and really needed to get back to work. Like the little cushion was getting very little. And so I got a new job. I was 3 days into rehearsals, and that's when they were like, right, you're all going home. You're not coming back in tomorrow. Hopefully we'll be back in a couple of weeks. I don't know, hopefully this will blow over soon. And of course it didn't, because it was the pandemic. And that basically kind of opened up this, I kind of describe it as opening up this chasm in front of me where, I had to, for the first time in years, because I'd always been on this really clear trajectory of my life. And this first time I just had this kind of vacuum and could decide what to fill it with. And it was scary and kind of liberating at the same time to have that opportunity. So yeah, we were a bit terrified financially, but I basically had a decision I felt to make, where I could either go and just stay in survival mode and stay as safe as possible and go stack shelves or whatever I had to do, which kudos to a lot of my peers went and did, and like bravo to them, because all these actors and obviously people in so many industries suddenly just had to do what they had to do. But I did have a little bit of money left, and I did have this passion, and I kind of saw it as this opportunity to, maybe once in a lifetime opportunity to jump into this, when people say, what else, if you couldn't be an actor, what would you be? And I was like, a coach. So that's when I leapt. And yeah, the first investment I made was in this other coaching academy, and I got lots from it. And then came across the Clique, and it did actually, now it's obvious to me to use my journey in visibility mindset and getting over my own stage fright and being able to show up and take up space and be seen in my acting career, and moving that into entrepreneurship. But actually it took me quite a few pivots to get there and almost give myself permission for that to be my niche. But essentially, yeah, that's the journey that took me into coaching. Yeah
Amazing. And you mentioned about sort of that initial decision, like it being sort of liberating but also petrifying, which I can completely resonate with. I don't think there's anybody that I've ever met that's taken the leap into coaching that hasn't been terrified, because you're obviously starting out in something completely new. What do you think it was for you specifically that helped you move through that fear to really decide, okay, I'm committed to this, I'm going to do this, let's just move forward?
I think part of it was that, is it Marianne Williamson? I'll like sacrilege the quote now, but that idea of it was starting to be more painful to play small than to go for it. And I think I've always been a real visionary. So I think in some ways my journey as an actor has helped me a lot in my journey as a coach, because a lot of the mindset needed is very similar. And it is that whole, you know, risking, like jumping in and trusting that the net will catch you and that you have that inner resourcefulness and resilience to deal with whatever the journey brings you. And I think I had that experience of, I'm very lucky actually. I had a dad who's very much still like believes in fairy tales and was like, you can do it. You know, I think he wanted to be an actor and he wasn't. So he was really encouraging, never pushy, but just very, you know, anything's possible mindset. And so I think I built up that through my acting. And I don't know, I think that the fear was absolutely and remains there. Every time I make a new investment or step up in some way, I'm constantly got that feeling of like, okay, I'm going to throw up. What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And oh my God, this is so elating. And I always kind of tell, if I'm on like a sales call with someone, I'll always say, look, if you're feeling like absolutely petrified and your heart is thumping and you're going, oh my God, what am I doing? And at the same time, you feel elated and expansive and so excited, then that's a hell yes. And if it feels heavy and like a weight and a drain and you feel contracted, you know, then maybe this isn't the right time or not the right decision. And I think I've always trusted my body, like even when it annoys my mind. There've been things I've invested in, I mean, the Clique included, where my mind's going, yeah, but what about, and but that's not sensible, and what about this? But my body's like, yes, yes, yes. And I think I've just learned to trust my body and kind of look back and go, also give myself evidence of, have I ever, you know, I've never ended up on the streets. I've never ended up, you know, in a terrifying, there's always been someone who's caught me. There's always been, you know, even the worst case scenario, okay, I'll go back and I'll get a job and I'll be a barista for a bit and I'll work, you know, and I'll come back with even more knowledge. So I think also, you know, looking back and at the evidence of, have you always managed to be okay, even in the scary times, and letting that fuel me as well has helped.
Yeah, I love that, because sometimes we completely like over dramatize things in our heads of what could happen, like all of these disastrous outcomes, and we're like, oh, but what if it doesn't work for me, or what if this fails, or what if I don't make money? And actually majority of time those things never actually play out. Like it's our head creating these very scary narratives as a way to keep us, you know, playing small and playing safe. So you are obviously, you know, a manifesting junkie, which I absolutely love and completely resonate with as well. And you kind of mentioned this bit about sort of just really surrendering and trusting that, you know, you're going to be supported, things are going to work out for you, the universe has got your back. What do you think helps you to sort of fully surrender to the process?
Oh gosh, I think part of it is that, like, looking back at evidence and finding, you know, kind of teaching my mind and informing my mind with a new story, right? I think, you know, so it's looking for, you know, just being really mindful of what I'm saying to myself and what thoughts, you know, I'm going to choose to attach to. Because essentially I can find truth in either story, right? And I can find evidence for all stories I'm going to fling at myself. So, you know, I was talking to a client the other day actually, and this is, you know, from my own experience recently as well, in that I realized, you know, I'd gone through a bit of a period recently of like kind of feeling in lack and you know, expenses in my business going up for a bit and like, you know, getting scared. And I noticed that actually a lot of what my body was experiencing and therefore thinking was happening right now was just that fear and worry about what might happen. And it was like, oh, I'm choosing to live in that reality that's already a thing. And like, what would happen, like just trying to ground myself with the facts of, am I okay today? Like what the facts of right now, like this reality now, I'm safe, I'm fine, I'm loved. And actually anything that's making me feel like I'm not safe and I'm not fine is just this like it's fantasy of the future. Like, so I think creating, just building up that little muscle of, you know, and it doesn't work every time because I'm human, but that little muscle of noticing, oh, hang on, is that real or not? And, you know, it's almost like a decision, I feel, the trust element and the surrender element. Like it's a choice that I choose to make. And I could choose with a lot of validity sometimes to go, yeah, but, and find evidence for something else that makes me feel unsafe. But, or I could make a choice to trust. And what's more likely to manifest the future and the reality that I want to bring in? It's the latter. So much to me is a choice. And there are practices that help me with that. I mean, I think one, just that simple thing of trying to constantly bring my mindset to a place of abundance rather than lack. And I think gratitude practice has been massive with that. You know, really, like, there's nothing actually that can change my vibe apart from dancing as quickly as just gratitude practice. And really like dropping in, because it's easy, I think, to do gratitude practice and be like, oh, I'm grateful for my house, I'm grateful, but, you know, like, you're taking, okay, I've done my gratitude practice, but, you know, really feeling it until you feel that shift. And journaling has been really big to help me trust as well, and bring myself to that space. I've journaled since I was 10, so for a long time. I didn't know I was journaling then, I just had my Dear Diary, but it's actually been a constant companion and it's helped me cultivate a real relationship. And what I've noticed is that when it comes to trust and surrender, you know, when I'm in a place of worry and I'm not trusting, and the opposite of trust and surrender, and trying to control and trying to hang on, I've noticed it's always a question, like, it's what if, and I wonder, but what about? And when I'm in a place of abundance and trust and surrender, there's no what if, it's just, I know, like it, and it's such a feeling of deep knowing. And there's never a knowing feeling when I'm in my worried lack mindset. So I think that's helped me as well to become aware that, and hopefully people listening will resonate with this, that when you have those moments of trust, there's no I wonder if I can trust. It's like, oh, I just know. And I think that that's given me comfort as well, you know, when I'm in alignment with that kind of higher self and that truth, it feels true, there's no wondering about it.
Yeah, and I think that sort of that ability to trust, it's almost like a muscle that we strengthen over time, because I know that definitely beginning of my journey, like just being able to fully trust and let go and surrender, kind of giving up that control almost, was really challenging for me. But it's something that it's just, I've been gradually able to shift into that. Now it just it's become my new normal. But I loved how you mentioned about just thinking about, okay, well, is this actually happening to me right now? Because a lot of the things that we worry about, they're not physically causing us any pain right now. It's the thought of that thing happening that is causing us the pain. And if we bring ourselves back to that present moment, you know, that's kind of how we can, like, keep ourselves present. But this is why I love as well, like, just when you're kind of focused on what you're doing and just really consumed with the work that you do, and you're in the flow and in the zone, you're distracted by that. There's no space for you to be worrying about the future, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
A little bit more then. So with your clients, so you are obviously your success and you're a visibility coach, really helping women sort of show up, you know, to really go for their dreams. What do you find when it comes to getting visible is sort of the biggest thing that holds a lot of women back?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things. So the work I do, a lot of it is that inner work, because, you know, there is the strategy we bring in, you know, that's it's almost like we start with the feminine and then we let that feminine inform the masculine, right? So that we make sure the strategy is really aligned to their strengths, their values. But so much of it is the mindset, the embodiment. And I see a lot of women, I mean, there's a few things. I talk quite a lot about show off shame, and I like to think I've coined that term, and I don't know if I have, but I'm gonna try and claim it. I think it's me.
Yeah, I just like it.
Yeah, I think a lot of women are carrying around this show off shame, and I think it's just a cultural and societal thing that has been, I think it's getting better, but that has been passed down. And it's this sense of, you know, most of us at some point have been told, stop showing off, no one likes a clever clogs, just be a bit less, you know, don't, you know, maybe don't show all your talents because you might make others feel less, you know, you might threaten and you might be intimidating, like. And I think so many of us have, I believe that we were kind of all, I talk about like embracing your inner weirdo. So we've all been born with this little quirk, this little spark that is just unique to us, and that's only going to ever come through us in this lifetime. And unfortunately, because generationally, so often that spark, it doesn't quite fit into the status quo. It's not quite manageable for every, you know, we go into the school system and everyone needs to fit into a bit of an average to make it easy. And so the people who were above us and caring for us unwittingly, you know, their spark was like shamed into, you know, into hiding. And so it triggers people and they don't know what to do with it because it triggers their own little hidden spark. And so I really believe that that spark, whatever it is for us individually, is, you know, if we were to follow that and let it shine and let it out, however weird or wonderful it is, it's going to lead us to our own unique version of success. Like it's the thing that we need to just shine out there. It's our unique thing. And yet, unfortunately, at some point for most of us, it's the very thing that we were made to feel bad about, that we were made to feel ashamed about, that it's something wrong about us. And we kind of hid it away and put it in a box. And then when we want to start a business and become the visible face of our brand, we're wondering why we find it hard to show up when we were given all these messages, stop showing off. No one likes this, no one likes that. And we feel this shame about the very bit of us that needs to shine out. And I think there's lots of different things that come up on that kind of limiting belief level of, you know, people worry about what their family and friends will think. There's that expert idea of who am I? Do I know enough? Who am I to help others? That fear of rejection and judgment is big because we're so governed still by that primal, like evolutionary psychology of like, you know, if I'm pushed out of the tribe, I won't survive, you know, and it really, I think we can feel it in our body that it is that fight or flight, you know, on some level, it all comes down to like that fear of dying, essentially, of like being outcast and being left alone. And so there's a lot of very natural human, you know, when we dig down those kind of primal fears and that I think it can come from, and also that cultural conditioning, like I said. And I'm sure it's for men as well, but you know, I can only talk from my own experience, and I think it's a big issue for women of, you know, we shouldn't shine out, and this almost like sister wound that a lot of us have as well of like, you know, if we're judging other sisters for shining out, then we're not going to let ourselves do what we're judging in others. So there's a lot there that I think a lot of women are carrying, and that actually, if we want to move from kind of being a dabbling coach to being a visible, impactful leader and really step up and shine out as that and inspire others from that place, then so often I think it can be so valuable to work through these things, because I've just seen so many, you know, whether it's peers of mine in group coaching programs or clients of mine and myself, of course, have all the strategies there and have everything they need in place, but keep themselves, you know, stalled in their business because they just don't dare to step into that spotlight and be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everything that you've just described there, because I know that for me, like I'm hearing my own journey actually in what you've just said. Like I absolutely felt all of that imposter syndrome, that not wanting to be seen, that, you know, that show off thing was a big thing for me as well. And actually what I found really comforting was realizing that pretty much all of the incredible, inspiring, successful coaches and entrepreneurs that I saw online actually all had that experience themselves. And so sometimes we're so quick to say, oh well, God, like judge ourselves for feeling those things without realizing that it is at the time a part of our conditioning. It's a part of being human. It's a part of how we're hardwired. And it's okay to feel that now, as long as you've got the tools to be able to work through it. Okay, so I want to know a little bit more. Obviously, we've heard about, you know, the wonderful work that you're doing with your clients. What has been some of your biggest things that you've been able to celebrate for yourself since becoming a coach?
Gosh. Well, I mean, there's just been so many different chapters of the business already, and I'm like only just about to hit like 2 years or something. So, well, I mean, really, my first big win was well, I say it was very quick. In some ways, it was like, you know, one of those overnight things. In other ways, of course, you can say it took months, years to get to the overnight success thing. But essentially, it didn't all happen straight away for me, you know. So I did have a number of months where, you know, I had the tools, I had the strategy, I'd been doing the training, and things weren't happening. And actually, I did get to a point where I looked at my bank account and I had a really scary moment at one point where I realized I hadn't been looking. You know, I knew it wasn't good because I'd been in denial. I hadn't been looking, I'd been investing money and things weren't moving yet. And I was in trust, but I think I was almost like in not looking at the bit of me that was scared. So I looked and I freaked out and I had this big cry in the kitchen to my partner. And I realized in hindsight, a lot of it wasn't even money fear. It was more guilt and shame, like that I'd invested lots of money. I felt guilty to my kids, to my partner who didn't quite get the whole investing in the coaching business thing yet. And I felt embarrassed. I was like, I've invested this money. I've told you I'm going to make it and no clients are coming yet. And basically just had a major wobble and freak out and shame fest in the kitchen. But in some ways, hitting that kind of rock bottom moment was also the beginning of the up for me, because it kind of made me really have to look in the mirror and ask myself, am I really walking my talk? Am I fully embodying the message that I'm sharing and trying to inspire others with? Am I actually doing that fully myself? You know, am I showing up? Am I doing everything? Am I being the person who creates the results? And the truth was that no, I wasn't. And I was hoping for a magic bullet and I was searching externally. And the thing is, all of the investments I've made, you know, like so many of them, like the Clique, just incredible. But at the end of the day, you've got to meet it halfway. Like it's not going to be like some magic pill where you consume the content, don't do it. And like, you know, you've got to be like, right, I'm going to implement this and make it happen. It's like it's a collaborative thing. And I think that was the moment where I realized that like it really dropped in. And so I was like, right, the kind of responsibility I felt for the mortgage, for my kids, for the money situation, I was like, I can't invest this money and not do this and be this person. And I think something shifted then where it kind of moved from energetically, it moved from a hope and a wish and an idea to a decision. And that was really, really big. And I just committed on a whole new level. It changed my actions. It changed who I was being every day. It changed how I was showing up online. And literally about a fortnight later, I had my first 5K weekend.
Wow, that's incredible. I love that. And I love that that's come off the back of kind of almost that moment where you're like kind of at the rock bottom, kind of, because I often believe like our biggest wins and successes are off the back of our rock bottom, because it's in the times that we're challenged the most that we're forced to look at things differently. We're forced to really come back to the mindset. And a lot of the time, things that we know, we're kind of forced to revisit them. And that is then the springboard for us really kind of leaping into something incredible. Wow, what an amazing moment. How did you celebrate?
Oh God, I can't remember. I was just, it was two clients came in one in like literally 2 days, and I think I went out and like had myself a glass of champagne and bought myself a nice dress and like you know, something that was like okay, and that opened the doors of potential, like, and belief, like it just, that the momentum went from there. And then since then, you know, I've had my first 10K week and heading towards 20K months, so it's all it's really,
it's funny when the floodgates open, they really do open, don't they? And it can sometimes feel, you know, in the early stages, I found like, you know, because my first couple of months I was like, this is like tumbleweeds. And I remember being in a coaching program, my coach training, and all these seem to like have these like overnight successes. I was like, oh, well, why is it not happening for me? But then when the floodgates opened, they really, really did. And it's again, it comes back to just trusting that it's going to work out for you, trusting your journey, and
why,
just
I think asking why not me, like you know, around you. And so often, you know, there's going to be people out there making multi-seven figures with, you know, probably, you know, less qualifications than you and less life experience. And it's like a lot of that is because they decided they were allowed to, and they just stepped up and said yeah. And then it's up to the customer whether they resonate with that person. There's no like, you know, someone's worthy, someone's not. We don't look at like a room of babies and go, which ones here are worthy of success in their future? Like they all are, we all are. So I think for me, like that happening, it gave my mind that evidence as well of like, oh my God, I can like, and people want to work with me. And so that just fueled that self-belief and therefore my actions and how I was showing up. And it kind of, that momentum went from there. Yeah.
Amazing. So at the moment then, are you working with your clients one-on-one, or is it in a group setting? What does your coaching look like?
Yeah, so I'm really in a period of transitioning from one-on-one to group now. So I've done one group cohort of Show Up and Shine, which is my group container. And I'm just about to launch another cohort. It's actually moved now from 3 months to 6 months. I just realized like people need longer to like implement and really, have that support. So that's exciting. And I love working one-on-one, and I'm so glad that I started there. And really kind of honed my confidence and honed my skills as a coach, and I don't want to stop doing one-on-one, but I think because I'm an actor as well, and a mum, just lifestyle wise, and actually I love group coaching. I love I think one-on-one and group can have different qualities and can give you different things at different times, but I do love that whole sisterhood of group coaching and the community, and how that really, it's almost like a thing that you're not, as the space holder, that's like another character and element that comes in, that you're almost like, you're responsible for bringing everyone together, but then that's like its own thing. So I mean, my plans at the moment are transitioning over. I'm doing a launch at the moment, and then I'm actually kind of coming back full circle to what a lot of the Clique teachers and moving into an evergreen system that feels, I've experienced the launch thing, and I may well launch again, but it just feels more feminine and more chilled to build a system that is just constantly flowing. So that's kind of a transition period now. Yeah.
Amazing. I think that's such like a pivotal milestone as well in your kind of your business journey, like stepping from one-on-one, maybe keeping onto your one-on-one, but then into that group programs, because in terms of business work, makes a lot of business sense in terms of your ability to serve more people, your ability to kind of stop exchanging that time for money, and it gives you a much more scalable business option. But I'm exactly the same as you, because I absolutely love one-on-one, and it's something that you can still always do, but it's not okay, I'm reliant on this, I've got something here that is giving me a more of a scalable business option. But I love so for anybody that wants to come and say hello to you and kind of sort of see what you're up to, where is the best place for people to connect with you?
Sure. Yeah. So probably Instagram is where I hang out the most now. So that's Florence_Andrews_coaching at Instagram. So I hang out there a lot. And then there's my website, which is florenceandrewscoaching.com. And come hang out. We've got some exciting things happening at the moment. We've got a challenge coming up, so you'll see all about that on my Instagram. I'd love you guys to come.
Wonderful. Well, what we'll do actually, Florence, we'll link all of your links and things in the show notes, so it's really easy for people to click through and to find you, and to join you on your journey, because it sounds like you're doing amazing things. And I just want to thank you for being a part of the Clique Academy as well. Like every day, like it just brings me so much joy to just see and chat with some of the incredible women that have been through the program, and see what they're doing and how they're really sort of trailblazing their own businesses and really creating something that's very much unique to them. So thank you so much for being here and sharing everything with us today.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being such an inspiration, honestly. Like from the moment I came across you online, you've been such a big part of my journey, and it's so lovely to just have leaders and women out there in the coaching world who lead with such integrity and heart. And your program is just, I would just recommend it if you're listening and you are thinking about becoming a coach, or you want to add more to your coaching skills and build the business side with heart, with soul. I cannot recommend the Clique Academy enough. So thank you so much.
That's made my day. Thank you so much. If you're wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.